All right, we're going to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order on November 20, 2024. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Thibodeau?
Here.
Alderman Govea is here. Alderman Moran?
Here.
Alderwoman Timmons?
Here.
Alderman Clemmons? Here. Alderwoman Clee? Mayor Donches?
I'm here. And Alderwoman Clee contacted me to say that she could not make it tonight. The first item is public comment. Any member of the public wish to speak to the Finance Committee concerning anything on the agenda? Apparently not. First communication is from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Govea.
In regard to Amendment Number 1, Clock Tower Bridge Design and Permitting in the amount of $22,968, funded from Riverfront TIF Bond /53 Personal and Technical Services. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve Amendment 1 of the Clock Tower Bridge Design and Permitting Contract with Hoyle and Tanner Associate Incorporated to replace the bridge and fill in the void in order to proceed with the design of a river wall and paved rear alleyway in the amount of $22,968. Funding will be through Department 53 Professional and Technical Services, Fund 53 Professional and Technical Services.
Yes, I think Ms. Hannum is here.
Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director. You said a lot of that. Basically, it's to continue moving this project forward. We have gotten approval to fill in the space and create kind of a faux bridge looking idea so that we can keep kind of the historical look to it. But filling it in will require less maintenance down the line, and it will be a lot sturdier for fire trucks to get in and out of there.
All right, any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Govea.
In regard to purchase of a Ford F-350 in the amount of $65,450.95, funded from SURF 81 Capital Outlay /Improvement/SURF. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the purchase of a 2024 Ford F-350 4x4 pump truck with plow package through McGovern MHQ Incorporated in the amount of $65,450.95. Funding will be through Department 144 Edgewood and Suburban Cemeteries, Fund SURF 81 Capital Outlay /Improvements.
And I think Mr. Lennox is here, right? So I don't think you've been here before, but we just get a overview of what you're trying to do with this.
Okay. My name is Ken Lennox, Superintendent of Edgewood and Suburban Cemeteries. We would like to purchase a 2024 F-350 dump truck with a plow to replace the 2015 F-350 dump truck that we have right now.
All right. Any questions, comments? Alderwoman Timmons.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I just have one question. What are you doing with the 2015 truck?
It's going to get traded in.
Oh, you're trading it in?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Alderman Moran.
What's the trade-in value?
It was $17,000 and some change.
Wow, for a 10-year-old truck, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually.
Yeah.
Probably went up in value.
Anyone else?
One-
Alderman
one-
Thibodeau.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm curious, so is the 65,000 the cost with the trade-in?
No, the original price was $82,000 something.
Okay.
And then with the trade-in, it brought it down to $65,495, I believe it was.
All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Govea.
In regard to copier lease and maintenance in the amount of $42,900 funded from the General Fund 54 Property Services, I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the Toshiba 60-month lease renewal /replacement of 4 copier leases for the tax office, Community Development, DPW, and Fire Station Admin Office through Toshiba Business Solutions in the amount of $42,900. That is $715 a month. Funding will be through Department 120, Technology Maintenance, Fund 54, Property Services.
Mr. Mysovich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nick Mizervich, Chief Information Officer for the City of Nashua. As mentioned, this is a 5-year lease to replace, actually, it replaces 3 existing units that are end of life, and by switching to Toshiba, we can add in a 4th one for the same cost. So it's a good win for the city. It gives us more equipment for the same financial outlay that we're currently seeing. And switching to Toshiba changes the overage rates that we are currently paying. So the page per copy is cut in half of what we're currently paying now.
All right, any questions? Alderman Clemmons?
Have you looked into purchasing these, or can you explain why we wouldn't want to do that?
Purchasing outright, it's very expensive, and it's, our operating budget just can't handle those constant large purchase items. So it's better for us to lease. That way it spreads out the payments in a even fashion, so we can properly budget for it and control costs that way, and we don't have the roller coaster of up and down.
Alderman Clemmons?
Yeah, just a follow-up. So I assume the maintenance is included in this?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Alderman Moran?
I was going to ask that same question that my colleague at large had asked, but covering the cost of maintenance, they can be costly to when these things break down. And
Correct.
I'm assuming you don't have the staff readily available every moment something
Correct.
breaks on one of those machines.
Right, especially since these machines are spread all throughout the city. They're not in any one location. They're in all locations.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next communication is from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, an emergency PO. And there being no objections, we will accept the communication and place it on file. We're going on to new business resolutions.
There's none? Oh, new business resolution, sorry, I said unfinished. New business resolution R-24-110, authorizing the mayor to enter into a 5th amendment to concession agreement with Granite Diamond LLC. I'll make a motion to recommend final passage.
All right, this extends the concession agreement according to the same terms, just for another year. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes. Next is R-24-111, Alderman Govea.
Authorizing a reinstatement and First Amendment to the agreement with T-Mobile Northeast LLC regarding leased premise located at Homan Stadium at 67 Amherst Street. I'll make a motion to recommend final passage.
And you see the memorandum from Bill Mansfield, Radio Systems Manager, which explains that this extends the term of this tower and the lease and increases the cost, including an annual cost escalator. The terms are set forth in his memo. And he's not here, but I think he intended the memo to speak for him. Yes, Alderman Moran.
Thank you. I just had a statement. The last time that Mr. Mansfield was here, I brought up revenue sharing, and my speech disorder got the best of me that time, and I wasn't be able to articulate it effectively, but maybe you could pass it on to him. When I researched it, just to clarify, we could be in a position in the future, not now because this is 5 years, but revenue sharing, an example would be, let's say this is T-Mobile, and there's high volume on a Verizon tower, and it shifts over to T-Mobile. Verizon then pays T-Mobile for using that tower. And there are lease agreements that I have seen in the private sector where then the leasee, the person who's leasing out the land, collects a portion of revenue from the tower in addition to the lease terms of the monthly rate. And American Tower is probably the best example of that that I have been able to find. So there's opportunity in the future to gain revenues based off of what, if they need to sell their cell data to another carrier. So it's a potential future revenue source.
Alderwoman Timmons.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a question about the expiration date, which is August the 27th, 2043. That's 19 years from now. Is that a mistake?
No, because this creates another 20 years on the lease.
Oh, 20 years on it. Okay. All right.
4 additional 5-year terms.
But it does escalate at 3% a month for 20 years. Now, if you want to ask Mr. Mansfield any questions, we could ask him to come in on this. Alderman Govea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In looking at this more and looking at the prices, I guess I'm kind of struggling at what we compare those prices to. I don't really know what other cell towers are going for, and I tried doing some research on it and really wasn't coming up too successful. I might not mind if this isn't time sensitive, seeing if we could get them in here to kind of go over this and see where the prices come from and how that ranks up, but I'll kind of leave that up to my other members if they feel one way or another.
I don't think it is time sensitive because it's been in negotiation for a long, long time. So I doubt it has, and it's effective back to a year plus ago. So obviously another couple of weeks aren't going to make much difference. So if there were a motion to, but if you wanted to hold it, we would need a motion to table.
Mayor Donches?
Alderman Clemmons.
Thank you. I don't mind holding it, but I was wondering if maybe you knew the answer to this. Does the money from this tower goes into the Holman Stadium Trust Fund, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And I'll make a motion to table.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So we will invite Mr. Mansfield to come in at the next finance meeting. New business ordinances, we have none. Record of expenditures, Alderman Govea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that the Finance Committee has compiled with city charters and ordinances pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period of October 11, 2024 to October 31, 2024, and November 1, 2024 to November 14, 2024.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. General discussion, is there any general discussion? Public comment, is there any member of the public who wishes to address the Finance Committee?
I have my stopwatch running. Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street. I just wanted to talk briefly about the assessment numbers that have come out, and we're waiting for the new tax bills based on the new tax rate. I really think those numbers should have been put on hold, and the city had an opportunity to do that. There was plenty of time. I was unaware that we were doing that update. I missed the transaction there. I knew we were doing a cyclical reevaluation, but I missed the fact that an update was happening this year. But around April or May, 4 of the staff members in assessing left all at once. It was a grand departure. Had I realized that there was an update going on, I would have been much more vocal at that point, because those staff members played a role in providing data and doing some of the work to capture permits and meet the contract to do the update. And I can tell you, I got calls from people, but I also researched it. I looked up some of these permits to see how permit capture went. Some of the permits are not captured. They're not on property record cards. When I spoke to Vision, they said, the city just didn't give us the data. We only got a minimal amount of data. They were supposed to do the rest, and we don't know what happened. So through a right to know, we got the list of permits that were checked by Vision, which ended up being about 400. That tells me there'd probably be about 800 at the city level. I put a right to know to get in the property record cards associated with permits or a list. And they said, we don't know how to get you that. We don't know how to put that together. I said, well, see if you can figure it out. I said, maybe you can do me an audit log. But there's no way for a citizen to check what they did. It's just random. And I know permits were missed. And I think they had a real shortage down there. And even once you brought people in, they were not trained. They just weren't up to speed. That is a complex office. The details of what goes on in there is involved, and it requires a lot of training. Every aspect of each staff member requires a good bit of training. So I think that the board should not have allowed the new tax rate to be set off of those assessments. And I think we should have gone back another year and then next year release them. And, I'm afraid, because it all came out that the reason we did this is to shift the burden off the residential property owner. Well, that didn't happen. Commercials went down more, and the burden on the residentials went up more. So we didn't accomplish that. And we should have known pretty early on that we didn't accomplish that. And then to really not capture the permits, it really leaves the data in question, and people are gonna have questions. They already have
That's time.
raised them. So just my thoughts on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Remarks by Alderman. Any remarks by Alderman? Well, then I turn to Alderman Clemmons.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and the meeting of the Finance Committee is adjourned at 7:17 PM.
17 minutes. Yeah. No, 18.